Hey friends, how's it going? The movie begins with Carrie, who arrives to celebrate her college friend Olivia's birthday. The rest of their friends were on the way, so while waiting, Carrie starts chatting with a little girl playing nearby. But the child's strange and unsettling behavior makes her walk away. Soon, Carrie's old friend Gabby shows up. The two are thrilled to see each other after so long. Not long after, Gabby's boyfriend Chris arrives, a guy known for being drunk most of the time. Moments later, Olivia finally makes her entrance, followed by another friend, Sarah. Sarah's father is rich, but Carrie never liked her. Back in high school, Sarah was toxic and treated Carrie badly. Still, they all try to enjoy their reunion. Things get even better when Olivia surprises them with plans to hit a music festival called Blue Light. The place was far away, but they had the perfect solution: Olivia's boyfriend Michael. He showed up with his uncle's RV, bringing along his ex-Marine roommate Jason. Carrie tries striking up a conversation with Jason, but Sarah keeps interrupting her. Soon, everyone piles into the RV and sets off for Blue Light, laughing and having fun on the road. On the way, they stop at a gas station to refuel and grab some snacks. Carrie once again tries talking to Jason, but before long, trouble brews. Two truck drivers start harassing Gabby and Sarah, then turn on another couple nearby. Gabby and Sarah confront them, but the situation quickly escalates. Chris steps in to help Gabby, but ends up needing help himself. That's when Jason steps forward, ready to handle things. Both truck drivers look terrifying, but Jason was an ex-Marine. Without hesitation, he took them down with brutal force. After that, everyone rushed back into the RV and drove off. The group couldn't stop praising Jason for saving them until headlights flared behind them. A massive truck rammed into their RV. It had to be the same two drivers. Jason fought hard to keep control, swerving the RV off the main road just in time. The truck pulled up alongside them, and one of the drivers even opened fire. Somehow, Jason managed to steer them onto another path and escape. They finally stopped to catch their breath. Carrie leaned in to kiss Jason, but before she could, Sarah swooped in and kissed him first. Carrie was left stunned. Meanwhile, Michael was freaking out, terrified his uncle would kill him for denting the RV. Sarah casually offered to cover the repair costs, brushing off his panic. Carrie tried calling the police, but Olivia quickly stopped her. That's when Gabby suggested a shortcut she knew that would lead straight to Blue Light. With no better option, they set off again. Carrie attempted another conversation with Jason, but their road soon split into two paths. With no cell service to guide them, they had no choice but to keep driving aimlessly into the night. Eventually, they spotted a lonely diner and pulled over. By now, Chris had passed out from taking too many cheap drugs. Jason and Michael laid him on a bed, while Michael and Carrie went inside to ask for directions. But the diner was crawling with truck drivers. Carrie asked the owner where the road led, and his response was chilling. He told them to turn the RV around and get back to the highway. When Michael pressed the others for answers, nobody said a word. Instead, the owner pulled out a gun, threatening them to leave immediately. Shaken, they hurried back to the RV. Carrie told the others what had happened, but Michael ignored the warning. Against everyone's better judgment, he insisted they stick to the same dark road and started driving straight back into it. On the road, Carrie, Gabby, Sarah, and Olivia try to lighten the mood by playing games inside the RV. But suddenly, something slams against the vehicle. They check outside the windows. Nothing. That's when Michael nervously admits he actually stole the RV without asking his uncle. If anything happened, he'd be in serious trouble. Everyone insists he check what hit them, so Michael grabs a flashlight and steps outside. He inspects the front and finds the bonnet slightly dented, but no animal, no human, nothing at all. After fixing the RV, it roars back to life. But then, Michael notices something in the darkness. He moves closer while Olivia watches him from inside, and then, out of nowhere, Michael is brutally killed. Olivia screams in shock and faints on the spot. Jason tries to calm her, but the group barely has a second to process what just happened. That's when a demonic voice echoes through the night, calling Michael's name. Jason draws his gun and goes out searching. He hears movement, something darting through the trees. Then Michael's voice calls out from deep inside the woods. Against his instincts, Jason follows. Something is circling him. The moment his flashlight flickers out, the thing lunges at him. Gunshots rip through the silence, echoing back to the RV. Inside, Olivia and Chris are unconscious while Carrie, Gabby, and Sarah remain awake, terrified. Carrie peeks out the window and freezes. A pair of bloody hands press against the glass. She stumbles back in fear just as the RV door creaks open on its own. Standing there is Jason, drenched in blood. Before they can react, something yanks him into the air and drags him into the darkness. The three girls were already terrified, but things only got worse when a demonic voice began whispering, almost like it was chatting with them. Panicked, they rushed to lock every door and window of the RV. But then, click. Every single lock unlatched on its own. The windows creaked open. The girls froze in horror. Sarah scrambled into the driver's seat and started the RV, desperate to escape. But they hadn't even made it 100 meters before the engine died, and the vehicle began rolling backward. Something unseen was dragging them. The RV slid all the way back to the exact same spot they had left, before shutting down completely. Gabby snapped, blaming Sarah for everything, but Carrie calmed her down. The three sat in silence, trying to make sense of it all. That's when an idea struck. They wondered if this was all just some elaborate prank set up by Jason and Michael for Olivia's birthday. After all, they had followed the guys down this road, and Michael had insisted on ignoring the diner owner's warning. Maybe even the RV reversing was part of their trick. But Carrie remembered something. Olivia couldn't stand cigarette smoke. Whenever someone lit one near her, she would immediately start throwing up. To test their theory, Sarah lit a cigarette while Gabby recorded it on her phone, but nothing happened. Olivia didn't react at all. That's when it hit them. This wasn't a prank. Whatever was happening was real. Just then, something slammed into the RV again, shaking it violently. The attack lasted a few moments before the presence slipped away into the night. Breathing hard, Carrie and Sarah tried restarting the RV, while Gabby checked on Chris, who had been out cold the entire time, but when she shook him, Chris didn't move. Panic spread as she called the others over. Finally, Chris stirred, vomiting violently. He had overdosed. Once he caught his breath, he mumbled about a dream he just had. A dream where Carrie, Sarah, Gabby, and Olivia were there, but Jason and Michael were nowhere to be found. The girls couldn't understand one thing. How did Chris know about that dream? Before they could ask, he passed out again. That's when they noticed something strange. Olivia was awake, quietly talking to someone on her phone. But within seconds, she too vanished. All that remained was her phone. Still playing a recording, Sarah froze as she heard her own voice coming from it. Panic set in. The three tried to escape, but the RV doors were locked tight from the outside. Then, through the front window, they spotted Olivia walking into the darkness. She was being lured by a voice, Michael's voice, calling her deeper into the night. Powerless, they watched as she disappeared. Moments later, Olivia suddenly snapped out of it, like she had been under hypnosis. Terrified, she ran back toward the RV, pounding on the door for them to let her in. But then, the impossible happened. From inside, the girls saw another Olivia standing just a few feet away. Two Olivias, one real, one not. Sarah quickly pulled Gabby back, stopping her from opening the door. Her eyes widened, because in the mirror, Olivia's reflection was missing. The creature's illusion had slipped. Outside, Olivia screamed and screamed, until finally, she too vanished into the dark. The three of them were now terrified, regretting that they should have just stayed on the highway. Sitting together, they started piecing things together. Maybe this place was a burial site, and they were right, because the creature attacking them wasn't just anything, it was a Wendigo, a Native American evil spirit. A predator of the night, it mimics voices, steals faces, and feeds on fear. Wendigos are tricksters, masters of illusions, shape-shifting, and even hypnosis. And there's one weakness: they fear the light. That's why the movie is called Don't Turn Out the Light. But before they could even process this revelation, the Wendigo attacked again. The girls scrambled inside the RV, grabbing whatever they could find and turning it into makeshift weapons. In the chaos, a fire broke out, but Sarah managed to put it out in time. That's when Gabby noticed the Wendigo was gone. Determined, Gabby decided to go outside for help, ignoring Sarah and Carrie's desperate warnings. Armed with an axe, she stepped into the darkness. But what she found froze her blood. Olivia's body, torn into pieces. She had been outside the whole time. The reflection trick, the illusions, it was all the Wendigo's doing. Olivia might have survived, but the creature never gave her a chance. Gabby broke down in tears, but there was no time to mourn. She pulled herself together and went off to search for help, leaving Sarah and Carrie to barricade the RV, sealing every door and window. Just when they thought they were safe, the RV lights suddenly went out. Forced into darkness, they lit candles, but one by one, the flames snuffed themselves out. Then, the TV flickered on by itself, and on the screen, they saw live footage of Sarah. Someone or something was right behind her. The lights flashed back on, and standing there was Chris, finally awake. The girls rushed to him, desperate, and told him everything. Chris still thought everything was just a joke. He laughed it off, saying he was going to relax again, maybe even read one of the books that had fallen on the floor. But Carrie noticed something disturbing. Those books were about black arts, demonic rituals, and satanic practices. They belonged to Michael's uncle. Carrie and Sarah began to suspect that someone might have actually used those books to summon a demon. Chris, however, kept brushing it off as nonsense until the Wendigo returned. It slammed against the RV from outside, shaking the entire vehicle. With every hit, the lights flickered and finally went out, seemingly because the creature couldn't stand the light. Chris grabbed some tools and managed to get the RV's power running again. But to fully start the engine, he had to step outside and check it himself. Armed with tools and a knife, he went out. He placed the tools on the ground and bent to check the engine. But when he reached down to pick them back up, they were gone, dragged underneath the RV on their own. Chris crawled under the vehicle to retrieve them. That's when Carrie and Sarah suddenly noticed he wasn't there anymore. Panic set in. Underneath, the Wendigo stabbed Chris with his own knife. Screaming, Carrie dragged him out, ripped the blade from his hand, and quickly wrapped his wound to stop the bleeding. Together, they managed to get the engine running again. But a new problem arose. The RV was completely out of fuel. The extra containers were stored at the back. So Chris and Carrie rushed to break the lock, grabbed the cans, and carried them to refill the tank. Meanwhile, inside the RV, Sarah realized something horrifying. Every single window and door had been flung wide open, and then she heard a whisper. Blood started pouring from her eyes and ears. Carrie notices that the filling hole has sealed shut again, leaving Sarah trapped inside with no visibility. Suddenly, someone approaches her, and in panic, Sarah stabs them with a knife, only to realize it was Carrie. Horrified, she quickly tries to stop Carrie's bleeding, pressing on the wound. Just then, they see headlights in the distance. A car is approaching, and for the first time, they feel a wave of relief. Carrie and Sarah sit back for a moment, trying to catch their breath, while Chris walks toward the car for help. But then a chilling thought strikes Carrie and Sarah. Wendigo always tricks its victims before killing them. Before they can react, it's too late. Chris has already wandered far from the RV, whose lights suddenly shut off. The approaching car speeds up behind him, and before he can reach safety, it slams into him, pinning him onto the hood with massive antlers. Chris dies instantly. Now only Carrie and Sarah are left. Terrified, they realize something sinister. The Wendigo itself is known to have antlers. The fact that this car bore the same was no coincidence. Exhausted and broken, the two collapse inside, drifting into uneasy sleep. But Carrie wakes to a nightmare within reality. She sees Sarah sitting beside her, suddenly wrapping her hands around Carrie's throat, choking her. She looks possessed. Carrie jerks awake, only to find herself being stabbed by Sarah. But shockingly, that too was just a dream. Now Carrie is left trembling, unable to tell what's real and what's just another nightmare. Just then, a little girl's voice starts singing a poem on the radio. Annoyed, Carrie smashes the radio in anger. That's when Sarah notices a strange tattoo on Carrie's neck, shaped like a pentagram. But Carrie quickly insists, it's just a star, not a pentagram. Before they can think further, smoke suddenly fills the RV. Carrie grabs Sarah's hand and tells her they need to run, fast. The two rush out of the RV, but then Carrie realizes something chilling. Sarah never actually held her hand. It was all a trick by the Wendigo. And in an instant, the Wendigo kills Sarah too. Terrified, Carrie runs for her life, stumbling deep into the woods. There, she finds Gabby's severed leg, proof that Gabby didn't survive either. Carrie keeps running until she finally makes it to the highway. But before she can escape, she suddenly vanishes into thin air, meaning Carrie didn't survive either. Time passes, And now we see another group of friends driving through the same road, heading toward the blue light area. On the way, they spot Carrie's abandoned RV. One of the girls wonders aloud, who would just leave such a nice ride behind? The exact same thing Carrie's group had said earlier when they found another abandoned car. Finally, in a post-credit scene, we see a man eating breakfast while watching TV. Suddenly, the same girl's voice from the radio begins singing again. The man calmly places a photograph of a demon beside his plate, and boom, just like that, the film ends. So here's the deal. That man in the post-credit scene is most likely Michael's uncle, the same guy who owned the RV with antlers on the front. Whether the Wendigo was tied to that RV or was waiting in the woods all along, the movie never really clears up. But that abandoned car they spotted at the entrance? It's a chilling hint this has all happened before. And now, just like them, Carrie and her friends became the Wendigo's next victims. If you enjoyed this recap, hit that like button, and I'll catch you in the next one.